We are ready on One Decent Pastor.
Let's get ready.
Let's get ready to rumble.
So are we live?
Yes, we're live.
Okay.
When
I think
Chad
we-
starts
Yeah.
doing that, you know we're live. Because
I think
Chad
you
doesn't
might
do
have-
that.
Yeah, we're live.
You might have got the first phrase in this time, so he didn't know what to do, I think.
Oh, really? Did I get the first phrase in?
Well, you asked if we were ready, and I don't know if it was live yet when you said that, but that's why I started with we're ready.
We're ready.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
we're live. We're ready to rumble. Whatever.
So very seldom do we actually get to talk about everything, a subject, for ODP that we're all experts at. What?
And today's going to be no different.
but I'm sure three of you are experts at this, and so we'll have.
We're
a lot
experts
to
at
say.
killing marriage. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it says.
Yeah.
Killers of marriage. And it's
Yeah,
like,
marriage
yeah, I'm good
killers.
at that.
Oh,
I've killed my marriage multiple times.
Right. So yeah.
So
That's the name of the subject we're going to be talking about today is killers of marriage.
we
Yeah.
all went away last week with our wives, and it was rad.
Oh yeah.
The weather wasn't.
We've had a week off from the podcast.
We had a week off. Yeah, the conference. We were at a conference. Conference was
Well,
great.
listeners have had a week off too.
Yeah.
We got so many emails from our
You're
listeners asking where are you guys?
Yeah.
We
hopefully,
got so
yeah.
many emails.
Hopefully they made it okay.
They
going a whole
survived.
week. Yeah, survived.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, there's like 2 days of the coast when it didn't rain sideways.
Yeah.
It still rained, but just
Yeah,
not sideways.
just not sideways.
Right.
That one night, I think it was Tuesday night or Wednesday night. It was brutal coming home from the conference that
Yeah.
night. It was because it was just fog where you couldn't see. It was raining sideways. The wind was crazy, and
Yeah.
you're just up on those cliffs, and it was gnarly, man. It was bad flooding, like hydroplaning, and it was gnarly. Yeah, it was bad. So, but we made it.
Yeah, and it was a good time away.
It was a great time away.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
Here we are. It was a good conference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just kidding.
Well, hey, look, it's like
it was
it's
one of
like
those
any-
ones that progressively got better, like a progressive dinner,
Yeah.
like as
True.
it went on. Yeah.
But like all conferences, I mean, there's parts of it that are really good, and there's parts of it that are kind of.
Like
You
the
know-
business meeting, like that.
You didn't like the business meeting,
Dude, I got up
part.
and I did some things. No, I'm just kidding. I stood in the back for it. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's shocked that David didn't like the business
Yeah.
meeting. Right.
Graphs and charts. Chad's like, this is awesome.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, I'll see you guys later. Yeah.
I am a graph and chart kind of guy.
Dude, you're so nerdy, bro.
Yeah.
White
I
and
am.
Pie
nerdy.
chart
Brown and
guy.
nerdy.
Yeah. I try to hide my nerdiness, but I guess I don't hide it all that well.
How do you do with charts, Brent?
I
You're
like
being
a good,
quiet over there.
I like a good spreadsheet.
You do. You do.
I use them all the time. Actually, I took all our receipts for the trip and put them all down with the dates and
How
You
about
made a
that?
spreadsheet.
equals sum,
Yeah.
made a spreadsheet,
I
sent it
have
to Janet.
2 receipts I didn't put in, actually. I'm sorry.
That's between you and Janet.
Well,
I think I got most of them. So you only had 2 receipts, which is amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
2 gas fill-ups.
Yeah.
That's it. We bought, yeah.
If you
never
can
mind.
send them to Janet, that'd be great.
I will.
Yeah.
I shall
So
do
Janet, if you're watching, you know where to
that.
go.
Janet,
here.
they're coming.
Yeah.
there you go.
I actually
I
owe
got 'em, they're
Janet the
coming.
receipt as well, not from the trip, but from something else. So I got to get that to her.
I didn't have any. I was just total freeloader.
Well, kind of the opposite of that, but
Yeah.
thank you.
So we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah, we're back in action. Back
Don't
in the
burn.
saddle.
Don't do any yard burning or anything, even though it's March.
Oh man.
It's not safe.
Yeah.
We learned that. Did you hear about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, Lapine.
Yeah.
I called Mike right away because it was right by his house. So I was
Yeah.
like, bro, are we good?
I
Are you good?
texted him and he's like, "Yeah, we're good."
Yeah.
You know, this time it wasn't him, right?
No, it wasn't.
Right.
No, no, sir. It wasn't. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a possibility this time of year to.
March?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
If we're doing that in March, then this is going to be a problem.
Thing
Probably.
jumped up to 11 acres pretty
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
You know, I read something about that, and they said that really what matters is when we get late spring, early summer rains.
Yeah, I heard
more
that
than
too.
anything else.
Yep.
If we get early spring rains, it causes a lot of the vegetation to grow up. And if it dries out, it gets dry,
Yeah.
and it's just a tinderbox. But if we get late spring, early summer rains, that helps. So that's what we're. Am I not? Okay, sorry. Let's turn to our subject. How about that?
Go for it.
All right.
Okay, so number one,
Are we going to get through all these?
why are you looking at me?
Yeah,
No, I'm just asking.
because they're basically just true or false questions, so we're
Okay.
going to get through them.
All right.
We'll go through this fast.
Okay. So the first one is laziness kills marriage.
True. Absolutely.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
Next.
Okay, I was hoping for more comment than that. So do you think that people enter marriage or actually being in marriage have the working assumption that now that we're married, this thing just kind of goes on its own?
Totally.
Yeah.
Osmosis. Yeah.
What's
Or-
fun? Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Love takes over, right?
Yeah.
Like this love thing is going to prevail, and it's like love's an action, like more than it's a feeling. And because it's an action, marriage takes work, love takes work, right? Growth into that marriage and into that relationship takes work. And so laziness will absolutely kill it.
Yeah.
Absolutely kill it.
Well said.
The ironic part to me is that when you're pursuing a person for marriage, you're the opposite of lazy. Like you're putting in so much effort
Yeah.
and so much work. You'll do anything to get the girl.
You'll actually comb your hair.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah.
And then you get married.
Tame your cowlick.
Yeah, tame the cowlick, exactly. And then you get married, and you just like, no, I got
Yep.
the girl, I'm done, and
right.
kick your feet up, and that's a bad plan.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I think that's something that's just one of those working assumptions that just happens in marriage, and they get bad just because people aren't working at it. But are we saying it takes constant work?
Intentional.
I think it
Yeah.
takes constant work. Yeah.
Intentional and constant.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I had somebody one time just, usually when we get marital counseling kind of meetings, it's when things have gone completely
Sorry,
bad.
bad.
And I had a couple one time just say, hey, we just want to meet. We just want a little tune-up on our marriage. Things are going pretty good, but we just thought, we just come and just get a tune-up kind of thing. And I thought,
How
that's
many times
amazing.
has that ever happened to you?
Once.
Yeah.
But it was
Once.
great. I thought, what a cool idea. This was like, again, that idea of
Preventative
preventative maintenance. Yeah.
measures or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay, so if
Yeah.
you want to make Brent or Chad's day, just call them up and ask to come in for a marriage tune-up,
I
right?
thought it was cool, but it just shows that they were working on it.
Okay, number 2, suspicion kills marriage.
True.
How
Yep.
do you, so everybody agrees with that. So what do you do about that to keep suspicion from being, torpedoing your marriage?
I think
what do you
sometimes our default can be to assume the worst of the other person,
Okay.
or maybe not even the worst, but just assume, negatively
Yeah.
that, that they're against me.
Yeah.
Right. You just kind of get there.
Well, suspicion kills any relationship, right? So if you think of it in those terms, then you can see how it automatically crosses over first and foremost to marriage. So like even here, we've talked about it before. When we're not meeting regularly, my head can start thinking weird things about what you guys think of me, right? And so we get together every week, twice a week. We keep short accounts. Communication is right, rocking. And I think that's how trust happens, right? Is that you've got a good, open, deep relationship.
Yeah. Is it too much of a stretch too to say that there's probably, as you get to know your mate, there's probably things that that bubble up over time that are kind of tender areas for them, and to try to deliberately make sure that you don't give them any fodder for that. Any grounds for that. Right?
Fodder.
Does that make any sense? I knew I shouldn't have said that when I said it. Okay, so the next one really kind of dovetails on this. And number 3 in killers of marriage is lack of trust kills marriage.
Isn't that the same thing?
Well, I'm just, hey,
You didn't write
I
that,
just
right?
work here.
I mean, that
just,
one leads to the one before it.
Right. Okay, so we'll go to the next one. Lack of mutual respect kills marriage.
Sure.
You squeaked, but
You did
well, then you have to have something to say about it besides
I
sure.
had to process it for a second, and I still don't know what I'm doing with it on it. Go, Brent. Save us.
I think there always needs to be respect, but I think that this is one of those things where men generally, I think, kind of need this maybe more than women do. I think when you look at the recipe for what marriages need according to the Bible,
Ephesians
women
5,
generally need to be loved and feel secure and protected and beautiful and all those things, and men generally need to feel respected. And so,
See, I knew I was handing it to you for a reason.
well,
that's the right answer.
It's a big
Yeah.
deal when you have the respect of your wife.
Sure.
And it's a killer when you don't.
Sure.
And so
Right.
like an unrespected man,
Yeah.
a man whose wife doesn't respect him is just
Or an unloved woman.
well,
So-
it's the same
so-
thing, but it's
right.
an emasculated man, and it's just a beat down woman,
Sure.
not physically, but I mean just that, it just takes a toll. And so this is the this is the recipe God's given us, and it
Yeah.
actually works really well. So,
and of course, the other way, if you don't have a man that respects, in just the most basic sense, his wife,
Sure.
you're gonna have a tyrant. You're gonna have a dude
Yeah.
that just that mishandles, misuses, mistreats, mistalks to his wife. She's something lesser and lower,
Right.
And so that respect, absolutely, the value component has to be there both directions, or else something's going to be completely lopsided, which may lead to destruction.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's true. I think that, there's been books that come out that have been very popular about Christian marriage that kind of bifurcate, for the wife, she needs love and the husband needs respect. And that's true in a general sense, but that respect that the husband needs also includes down pyramid love, and the love that the wife needs also includes down, there's respect in there somewhere for the
Yep.
very reason. So I think, I've been a little suspicious of the book because normally, we can take things like that and oversimplify them and, kind of use a meat cleaver on it. Okay, wife, love, husband, respect. There we go.
I like that. That's simple.
Okay. All right. So number 5, unforgiveness, bitterness, hatred, malice, and anger kill a marriage. I don't know why.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
Those
one.
aren't fruits of the spirit.
Not tracking with you.
Okay, let's talk about it. Unforgiveness, bitterness, and hatred.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're horrible. They'll kill any relationship,
Yeah, any
especially a
relationship.
marriage. There.
I mean, at the end of the day, right, as Christians, we bank on that God forgives us. And it's disingenuous for us to not be forgiving to others. And I'm not saying it's always easy, right? It's hard. But it's disingenuous for someone who takes the forgiveness from God to me, for me not to issue forgiveness, to you or to my wife or anybody else. And, we should just be people that are about forgiveness.
Right.
And if we're about forgiveness, then we're going to be, less apt to be bitter and less apt to be angry and those kinds of things.
Yeah, it's Ephesians 4:32 thing. We sometimes want to become, how'd the guy put it, forgiveness reservoirs instead of forgiveness conduits.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'll take all I can get, but,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say that if you've got unresolved issues in your marriage or conflict, this is where bitterness starts to stir up. And I know a lot of people, rather than just talk about what's going on or what they're feeling or what they're thinking, that they, give nonverbal cues, hoping that
Sure.
the other person will pick up on them and figure it out. And that's just a bad
Right.
idea. Again, keeping short accounts like David just talked about and communicating with each other is where this stuff gets out. So if something's bugging you, don't expect them to figure it out. Just talk about it.
Yeah.
And going back to the laziness kills,
Yeah.
to link them up.
Yeah.
The unforgiveness is oftentimes that I've forgiven for an offense, but then I remember it a year later or 3 years later, and all those feelings come back
Right.
up: the hatred, the anger, the bitterness. And so, if I'm lazy in forgiving, right, that's part of the work that has to
I mean,
be
it's
done.
not one and done.
No, it's part of the work that has to be done on that garden, right? Is that you're forgiving like over and over again, sometimes for the same offense whenever it comes up. And it's work. Sometimes it's tiring, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we need to not get lazy in because we don't have good forgetters. We can forgive, but we don't have good forgetters, so we have to keep learning how to forgive for the same thing sometimes. So.
And to Chad's point, the thing we need to keep our eyes on is the way that we have been forgiven by Christ.
Right.
Because if you look at the other person and try to find around, or just, quote, find it in your own heart to forgive them, that ain't working, for long, right? So, okay. There's also a progression here, I think, maybe that, I don't know if it was intended or not, but it starts with unforgiveness, then turns to bitterness,
Right.
and then turns to hatred, and then malice, which is actually, wanting to
Bad
do
things
the
to happen,
other
yeah.
person in, right?
Right.
Okay. Number 6.
Well, and then anger.
Okay. And,
And then you end up on the
yeah, I
6
thought anger
o'clock
should
news.
have gone in there something.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah,
Well,
right.
I saw the word kill. Kill marriage.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and the thing worth mentioning with that progression is that the Bible tells us that when you get married, like the two flesh become one. And so when you get to unforgiveness and bitterness and anger and malice, like you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Because you're one flesh with
Right.
your spouse.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things that in marriage counseling that I've always tried to get across, and it seems to come to this. Maybe I'm just laying in wait for it, but that is that when people come in on opposite sides of something like that, for that very reason you're talking about one flesh, is to try to get them to agree that there's nothing that's good for the husband that's bad for the wife,
Right.
and nothing that's good for the wife that's bad for the husband. It's either a win-win or a loss-loss,
Right.
right? So thanks
Right.
for bringing that up. Okay, unnecessary arguments kill marriage.
Or keep them going.
Prolonged argument.
If it becomes something you're good at, if it becomes a hobby, then it can keep you rocking. In fact, gosh, we laugh. Check this out. So me and my wife have always been good at this one.
Well,
By the
then
grace
you
of
can
God, it
speak to
didn't. By the grace of God, it didn't kill our
Book
marriage.
coming in the future.
But there was a time when I stopped hitting the ball back, like I did for all those years, and she actually went like, "What's wrong? You don't love me anymore." Serious. She's like, he doesn't care enough about me anymore to argue about these things. Like, the dude's detached. What do you think of that?
Well, where'd you go with
I
it?
don't know. Well, I said, I just got sick of it. Was like unnecessary
But
arguments.
I mean, if that was her response to your, not hitting the ball back,
Yeah.
so how did that
I
progress?
started arguing with her again, so she knew I loved her. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know where I'm going with
You
this.
should
Let's
write a
stop.
book, man.
Like, let's go. Coffee table book.
All right. I tend to think her arguments are unnecessary and mine are necessary.
Ooh.
So something like mine are good, hers are bad. It's,
Yeah, I would think
That's pretty self-righteous of you, Jeff.
It is totally.
choose your battles is what comes to mind here. There's probably things that are worth having heated discussions over, and there's things that aren't. And if everything becomes a heated discussion, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
So
Not everything's a big thing,
yeah,
right?
Pick the things to talk about, and then learn to let things go.
Yeah. Okay. Number 7, keeping secrets from your spouse kills marriage.
Unless you're a pastor.
Yeah, well, okay, there is a.
Those aren't secrets.
There's a
Like,
carve out for
it's
that,
they're
right?
secrets.
Pastoral
They are, but
They're
privilege
not
is
really
what that's
secrets.
called.
When you
It's just
walk
things
in
they
the
don't need
door-
to know.
And she's like, "Oh my gosh, what's wrong?" And you're like, "Nothing."
Yeah.
Sure, I know what you mean. But
I'm
I mean, those
fine.
are things told in
Yeah.
confidence. That's a different thing, I guess. But
Yeah.
Sure, there's a carve out for that. kind of
Yeah.
There
thing,
is
but-
pastoral privilege.
Yeah.
But general secrecy in marriage is a killer, and,
Right.
and
Not
this is
against
something we talk. We have premarital counseling stuff, and I always talk about this. Your wife needs to know your password on your phone, your computer, your
Yep,
whatever
yep,
it is. Bank accounts. Like now, it's a thing where couples get married and have separate bank accounts, which is a really bad idea. Unless there's a practical reason
Sure.
and you both have access to them. It's just secrecy, of any kind, is a recipe for disaster.
Kind of full disclosure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You should have full disclosure about everything.
Well,
Well, except for
no, you're right. But we talked about trust earlier. And
Yep.
Suspicion, and
Yep, that kills us.
if
Yeah.
you're gonna eliminate suspicion,
Right.
and you're gonna build trust, then there has to be secrets need to not exist.
Right.
Yeah, we need to know what we got and what they're going through, and where we're at in our marriage.
Right,
So-
and not keep anything behind door number 3,
That's right.
where they're just guessing, and the same thing with you. So yeah,
No, I've seen people be sneaky, in their whether it can even just be, places they're stopping to get fast food or whatever. And it's just, it creates that non-trust when people figure it out. So
okay. Here's an interesting one. Well, they're all interesting, but this one is okay. Infidelity kills marriage. Okay, so we would all, jump right on that. There's no problem. But in parentheses it says financial and emotional. Is there such a thing as financial, or you were actually talking about that a little bit, Brent? Financial or emotional infidelity? What?
yes, I've never thought about financial. That one's kind of stumping me a little bit. But the emotional one, I know this happens a lot of times in workplaces and things like that, where you develop these kind of friendships with somebody of the opposite sex, and before long, you're joking with each other, and you're kind of investing emotionally in somebody, and you got to be really careful with that kind of stuff.
Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it can happen. I think also. Oh wait, actually, I cut that one off. Financial, emotional, psychological, material infidelity. I don't disclose the money that I'm spending on my fishing poles and my you know, my shotguns and stuff like that. And
Whoa,
my
whoa,
closet
whoa.
just keeps you. What's that?
I said, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Cigars.
Yeah, that's what
So we All
I mean, for you, not me.
right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, we say when we marry people, the two become one flesh, right? That this has to be a concept that is baked into any successful, sacred covenant that two people are entering into. And I always tell people during that wedding ceremony, from this moment forward, your things are not your own. Your life is not your own. Your bed is not your own. Your finances are not your own. Like it runs the gamut, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that used to be yours, right now you're forfeiting, and it's someone else's too, right?
Wow.
There's no more. Yeah,
Yeah, it's good.
And we
and it makes a good marriage. That's why.
yeah, and we pledge to that, take our vows to that very thing, and then, you know, as time goes on, it's kind of like, well, nah, you know, that's still my stuff,
Yeah.
right?
And that goes on to dreams. That goes on to struggles, right? It
Sure.
opens up to all these things, everything.
Well, infidelity itself, I mean, gets back to trust issue because the root word there is, you know, means trust.
Yeah, I
you
had to
know,
check
not
Chat
being trusted.
GPT to make sure I knew what infidelity meant in this case. So
Okay.
I got it.
All right. Poor communication kills marriage.
I don't know. A lot of men wouldn't agree with that, but yeah.
I mean, and all these things, like as already been said, is true of any relationship, right? There's, you know, communication has to happen.
Yeah, I think this might be one of the leading causes of relationships falling apart is, you know, look at any list, and this is almost always at the top. If you can't talk to your spouse about
Anything.
anything and everything, you're going to have problems. You know, you got to be able to, that's your closest friend and confidant, and you got to be able to talk to each other about everything. So,
Well, talking and listening,
yeah,
right?
that's where I fall short. Yeah.
Well,
apparently.
Yeah, the phone line runs both ways, right?
Right. Well, it should, and
Yeah.
and so you know, I know that this is a kind of an old saw, but you know, for years, Nancy and I, you know, I would listen to her about something she was talking about, and then I'd try to fix it, and then I'd be done, you know, and normally I didn't fix it, but that's not even really what she wanted, you know. There,
Yeah.
she
Right.
just wanted to be heard and responded to, like, yeah, and my feedback not being fix it mode so much as this is what I heard you say, is that right? You know, and she, you know, if the antenna picked it up, you know, you could just see it on her face, like, yeah, that's it, and you kind of go, well, what do we do about this? It's like, we don't need to do anything about it. You know, just
Yeah.
broadcast and receive, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like you know Peter saying, you know, be understanding with your wife, and I think that's all our wife really needs to know that she has half the time with us, is that she's able to speak and be heard, be understood, right? Not that you can solve it necessarily, or that you could do whatever it is that she might be looking for, other than that you're understanding with her, you're bearing with her in communication and listening.
Yeah, and guys, did it ever occur to anybody why in 1 Peter 3 there it talks about husbands understanding wives, and it doesn't say anything about wives understanding husbands? Now, do you have any inkling why that might be?
I would like it, but yeah, no, I don't know.
Yeah, it means we're going to have a hard time understanding our wives, and they're going to have, they've got us figured out pretty well.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
Venus
go.
and Mars, brothers, and Venus and Mars.
I guess,
Okay.
yeah.
Hair of the dog, Lloyd.
Okay, what was that?
Nothing.
It's a quote from a movie.
Sorry.
Hair of the dog, Lloyd. Hair of the dog.
Oh, okay. Dumb and Dumber, right?
No, it's Shining.
No?
It's Shining.
Oh, sorry.
I've never watched The Shining. It came from The Shining?
Yeah. Whatever.
All right, goodness, what are we
My
doing?
mind did
Number-
go Dumb and Dumber.
All right.
though,
It might have been from
with
Dumb
you.
and Dumber?
Yeah.
Okay,
My
all
mind
right.
went there.
Could be. I don't know.
Number 12, a lack of or unenjoyable intimacy kills marriage. Talk to me.
God
These are things we do not speak about.
Well, we kind of gotta.
Yeah. God has given us a design for enjoying intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
And man, have we botched it big time, just as a human race. And we're enjoying things in ways that God has not prescribed us to enjoy things, right? There's the uniqueness of marriage is that there's an intimacy that comes with that's not meant to be enjoyed outside of, you know, heterosexual monogamous marriage between one man and one woman. And man, the world would be just such a different place if we would live the way God has called us to live in that regard.
Yeah, I think the church has gone through its stages at various times and various places in history of making sex a bad word, and that it's this thing that we don't speak of, and it's kind of icky even, and it's kind of this necessary thing that has to happen in marriage, but that's not really why you get married. I would beg to differ. Paul says this is actually a reason,
Right. Yep. Big reason.
A big
Yeah.
reason why you get married, and then goes on to say that it's a way that Satan will kill your marriage
Yep.
if you do not continue attending to this this privilege in marriage. And so it means more than I think we think it does.
Totally.
In a sacred sense, in the intended design sense,
Right.
There's a lot there that boosts the one flesh concept.
Yeah. Which is a spiritual thing
That's
as much
it.
as physical.
Well,
Right.
that's the weird thing, right? The spirit is uniquely involved in this thing. So
Yeah.
for sure, matters.
If you go all the way back to the beginning, right? God created, there was day one, it was morning and evening, and it was good, and day two, morning and evening, it was good, so on and so forth. And then he creates man, and then one thing that's not good is that man is alone. And so he creates woman as a helpmate, which means a like opposite for man.
That's
not a subservient helpmate, but a like
companion
opposite, right?
fitted.
Right.
Not to get too crazy here.
Yeah.
Fitted for a man.
Yeah.
I'm not following you, David.
And then when he does that, then God says that a man will leave his mother and father and cling to his wife, and the two flesh will become one. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but that's the first thing in creation that God instituted after creation was done. Was it the man and the woman would become one flesh. And then the second thing, God tells them to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And then the third thing is have dominion over subdue the earth and have dominion over it. So get married, get intimate, and have kids, and go to work.
Get married,
Yeah.
get
Right.
crazy,
Get busy.
So,
get
so-
dying.
And I mean, these are the building blocks of society, of a healthy society.
Jesus even refers to it in one of the Gospels when he quotes, that he uses it in the context, speaking of sexual intimacy. So we know that the two becoming one flesh absolutely is
Right.
intended to mean all that
Yeah.
that maybe we've been taught it doesn't.
Right.
Like, oh, this is just two people doing life together.
Yeah.
No, it's deeper than that.
And so
Yeah.
oftentimes, in marriage counseling, you have couples come and they get this issue and that issue, and hopefully sooner rather than later, I'll just flat out ask them, "How's your sex life? How are you doing in that?" And so that's a warning. anybody that comes,
Come
But-
prepared to answer that question.
Yeah,
Is
right.
that what you're saying?
So, but the thing is, too, is that seems to me to be kind of one of those things that is kind of a bellwether that if that's not working, that you need to do some plowing someplace else and find out why that's not working, because it should be working. That's kind of one of those things that when you flip on the switch, the light should come on. And if the light's not coming on, it's time to kind of track down the problem as to why. Does that make any sense? Yeah.
okay, but bellwether doesn't make sense. So,
Sorry.
no, what is it? What is bellwether?
What is a bellwether? It's just an indicator.
Yeah, an indicator.
Like a siren.
Well,
Kinda like a siren.
Siren can be an indicator.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
Let's go.
Okay. Nagging kills marriage.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah. Also true.
Yes, it does. Kills a lot of things in marriage, too.
None of us want to say. I've heard that it can. No, I'm just kidding. Can't relate
None
to
of
it.
us have any experience with that.
None whatsoever.
Which, by the way, goes both ways. It's normally attributed wrongly
Yeah.
one way, but it's not true.
Well, I don't know. I'm
It goes
going to
both
say
ways.
stereotypes exist for a reason.
Okay. Chad said that. Not,
Wow.
I'm
I
being
didn't even. Brent
mostly
laughed. I
facetious.
didn't even laugh. David didn't either. So just want that for
Mostly
the record.
facetious.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything about this one.
Yeah.
Too much talk and careless talk kill marriage.
Whoa, too much talk?
Okay.
So if it's meant in the context of it's being paired here with careless talk, then yeah, there's times when our emotions are leading us and not our brains, and in those moments we would do well to filter before we
Sure.
open our yappers.
Yeah, James talks about being slow to speak. And
Totally.
there's times when you just have to, like, I've even learned there's times where I wanted to let's get to the bottom of this right here and now. And I'm still kind of, at a
Heightened.
level 10, and
Yep.
It's like this isn't a good time to try to work this out.
Yeah.
Right.
We shouldn't let the sun go down on our anger, but there's times when it's better to let's pause for a minute. Let's get things in check and come back and revisit
Yeah,
this.
you
or
can't
whatever.
put the toothpaste back in the tube
Yep.
when this
Yeah, a lot of
thing comes
stuff.
out and it's heard.
A lot of
Yeah.
stupid stuff comes out when you're
Yep.
yeah.
Mrs. Hickman is so good at this. Her phrase is, and I've heard it, I don't like to hear it at the time, is, we should talk about this later. Or we can talk about this later. That's how she puts it.
It's a wise woman.
We can talk about this later.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And she's
Some things
right.
that's good.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, definitely. Okay, spending little time with your spouse kills marriage.
True. And spending too much time with your spouse kills marriage. Can we add that to this?
Okay, why don't you explore that a little bit?
Well,
The
obviously,
second part.
Obviously, too little means that you guys aren't doing much of the other things on this list well. Right? Like you need to actually be together, doing life together for all the meaningful stuff to happen that's been designed. One of the things that I will tell people, though, that are getting too much on each other's nerves that do everything together is that they need to find something outside of their spouse. Like there's a proper balance for, there's a season, even in
Makes
marriage.
sense.
So that's all.
Yeah. Everybody needs to breathe.
Yep.
Part of the problem could be that you're just around each other too much
Okay.
because we're all annoying people.
Well, that's it. That's the old thing about, the guy that retires and he says, honey, I think I'll stay around the kitchen and help you do the dishes and stuff like that. She says, no, I'm used to you
Kitchen's
going
mine.
off to work. Yeah, go ahead, go find something to do.
Right.
No, my wife would do this when I got the chimney business because it was seasonal.
Okay.
So half the year we wouldn't see each other at all. And I would hear like, "What? Our marriage sucks. We never see each other." And then the other half of the year, I never left the house. And she'd be like,
Just go
"You
away."
need to leave. Our marriage sucks." And it's like, we got to figure out this balance thing, man. Yeah.
Okay, being too independent-minded kills marriage.
Again, the two flesh are one.
Yeah.
And you can't be independent when you're married.
Yeah, I
So
think-
is there a me in marriage? I'm, asking.
There's a
Starts
we.
with an M and it ends with an E. So technically, yeah.
Can't spell marriage without me. Is that what
Well,
you're saying?
I'm just thinking
That was very quick-witted, Brent.
sorry, I just
Yeah, you're
popped in
known
my
for
head.
that.
There's no I in team, but there is a me in marriage. So, no, I'm thinking there's the idea that you can live separate lives,
Right.
And I think that there's a real danger in that idea, and there's that happens sometimes with couples where when they become empty nesters, it kind of crashes in on them all of a sudden. It's like, well, we don't even really know each other or have anything
Yeah.
in common, or
Yep.
we haven't really fostered any kind of a relationship apart from kids and work and things like that. And so that kind of independence is just, it's not good. You find your identity in your work and your parenting or your, that kind of thing. And then you don't really have any kind of real relationship together. So.
Good. Okay, love for partying, money, impulse buying, and financial indiscipline kills marriage.
What number is that one, by the way? What number are we on?
17.
17.
17.
Well, how are we doing?
I think we're doing fine. I just
Okay.
lost track of the
I haven't even
count.
thought about it. That's true.
Then we know we're doing okay. Okay, love for partying, money, impulse buying, and financial indiscipline kills marriage.
Yeah, especially when it's just well, if it's both of you that do those things, you're probably just going to ruin your finances. But when it's just one's very much like, no, we need to save, and
Yeah.
the other person's like, woo, we need to, throw
Right.
caution to the wind. Let's go get this. That creates problems.
Yeah, that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, and oftentimes in a marriage, you'll have a a Scottish accountant on one side, and somebody that just wants to spend money and live and love life on the other. And
What is a Scottish accountant?
Apparently, me.
well,
I'm not familiar with that term.
okay,
Like somebody that's kind of tight with money?
Not-
Is that?
Yeah.
okay. I would never characterize somebody that's
Frugal.
Scottish like that. So
Frugal.
I just want that
Yeah.
clear. It's just an expression. So
It's an accountant with a kilt.
Yeah.
an accountant with a kilt. Yeah.
That's all, Brent.
Frugal. No, I know what I got it. I knew what it meant.
So what happens though is if there is indiscipline, and you guys have all seen this, when couples come and they've got layers of issues, but if finances are going bad, that is just a ton of bricks on top of everything else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's something to
Yeah,
be,
figuring out how to do finances as a couple is important too. Again, if there's one person that's doing it all, and the other person's not really aware of what's going on. That's how it was like growing up. My dad took care of things, and it's just the way it was, and kept it from everybody else. So we had no idea about anything ever, and that's kind of weird. But
Yeah, and I think, there's a certain thing where you need to be, even if you have different dispositions towards it, you need to be kind of on the same page,
Yeah.
because if there's a Scottish accountant on one side and the profligate spinner on the other side, they're both going to resent each other.
Sure.
The tightwad
Yeah.
resents the spinner, and the spinner resents the tightwad.
Right.
So there has to be some kind of, oneness there. Okay, this is a good one. Exposing your spouse's inadequacies to your parents or siblings kills marriage.
True.
yeah, they shall leave their mother and father, and the two shall become one flesh. Is
Yep.
something. The leave and cleave idea is something people don't do very often, and I bring that up in counseling too. Like if you go to your parents and complain about your spouse, you're gonna sabotage
Right.
their relationship and potentially your marriage at some point. So
Yeah, I actually do. I actually started employing vows at the beginning of a wedding ceremony to the people sitting there first.
Yeah.
To the families.
Yep.
And it's along the lines of like, do you agree to encourage this couple and to lead them on to better, spur them on to love and to good works for each other, and to pray for them. And I do the vows with the people who think that they're just like an innocent party, because they're the ones who are can help kill it.
Sure.
So yeah, they need to know that a lot of this has to do with them and
Right.
and the way that they play into this.
And they just have to let them go. Let them
Yeah, sure.
go.
So that brings up a good point that entertaining those kinds of complaints kills
Yes.
that person's
Sure.
marriage. Like if you're the parent that entertains those kind of complaints without encouraging, reconciliation or whatever is needed, and just to automatically take a side,
Right.
right.
yeah, that also is a marriage killer.
Yeah, I've even gone to the point where in marriage counseling, I want to meet with the parents on both sides and make sure, maybe preach that just a little bit stronger than that.
That they know what
you
their
gotta
responsibility
realize
is, yeah.
that you got to let them go, and that they've got to work out the problems, and if there's issues that they come to you with, send them to somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chad.
Or send them to the truth, right?
Yeah.
Send
Yeah,
them
yeah,
back
yeah,
to
yeah.
the things that Scripture has for that
Right.
spouse. Yeah.
Okay, spurning correction and reprimand kills marriage. Spurning. There's one of those.
I don't know.
That's
what
a
that- here,
Bible
let me
word,
ask
right?
ChatGPT.
Spurning.
Reprimand. I like that.
Well, there's two. Hey, those didn't even come from me.
No, I
just,
know. But
Rejecting or refusing something or someone with disdain or contempt. What's up?
spurn. See how easy that is? Just one word does it all.
No, Brent.
That's
To
good.
spurn is not just to say no, but to do so in a way that shows strong dislike, disrespect, or scorn.
Yes. So,
So
there,
to
you go.
rebel against it.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go. So how does that work? How does there a correction and reprimand? How does it work in a marriage?
Bless you.
Thank you.
I think this goes back to something I said earlier, where sometimes our default kind of position can be that my spouse is against me, and so whenever correction comes, if your default is that they're against you, then you're going to be less likely to receive any kind of correction. But if your starting point is, well, they're for me, we're on the same team here,
Right.
you might be more apt to receive some correction and to pay attention to it.
Yeah, I think if you've got a dynamic where you've got like a parent-child dynamic in a marriage where you're correcting the other person, it's not so I would be careful, and even just the idea of correcting or reprimanding.
Yeah.
It's a weird way to even
It is.
to phrase that. but you have to be able to when you're at odds, or there's something they're doing that's causing harm or that's hurting you or whatever it is. We need to be able to talk about those things in marriage. But if it's that parent-child kind of model, that's probably gonna kill your marriage at some point too. So.
Yeah. If I've seen one thing that I think is just a tripwire of younger couples getting married, it's the man's inability to receive criticism. I mean, it's like criticism just devastates. And I know criticism is hard and all that stuff, but if you think about it, in a Christian marriage, the wife knows that she's, submissive to the husband, and he's kind of top of the pile. And if, the people that are under you can't squeak, that's a bad thing, and so I just think that there needs to be an understanding that women shouldn't criticize their, wives shouldn't criticize their husbands and all that, but make it constructive. But it's going to happen, and when it happens, is to be able to receive, not be devastated by it and retaliate.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Usually I'm defensive at first.
Yep.
And I'm angry.
Yep.
And then I think about it for a couple of days, and it's probably just the Holy Spirit, doing his work.
bearing down on
And then
you.
you realize, you know what? That's correct, and I need to fix this.
I have found that if somebody other than my wife brings a critique to me, I can handle it pretty well.
Sure.
Ooh.
If it's her, then it's like, what's up?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
go in the
I
kitchen.
don't relate to that at all. Not
Right?
even a little.
And it's the same thing the other way too. Like I can say something, then someone else will say the same thing to her, and she'll receive it, and I'll be
Right.
like, I just said that to you.
Well, that's partly because their opinion
Totally.
matters most.
Totally.
And
True.
And so, yeah, when it comes from them, it just feels so devastating.
Yep.
And
You're not
So, yeah.
qualified to say this.
the way we do that is important, but to never do it though, that then you get to that role of bitterness.
Yep, yep,
starting to- so you got to work through these things, but doing it in a loving and a humble way is, that's the part you got to figure out.
Yeah, and the other thing is that I don't think that the way that criticism goes in a marriage is symmetrical, because when a wife speaks to a husband, it's kind of like he gets the words, he processes and all that stuff. But when he speaks something, it kind of, or should, hopefully, goes right into her heart. And so that needs to be, that's part of that 1 Peter 3 thing of understanding, that needs to be, it can't be, well, she said this to me this way, so I've got to say that back to her that way, right? It's just, it doesn't work that way. But there has to be a way, like Matt said, of for this to happen in a healthy way. Okay, always wearing a sad face and being moody kills marriage.
I suppose.
Uh-oh. I'm looking at this next one.
Why
I'm
are you-
just gonna
why are you
read it.
skipping ahead, dude?
Okay, so who wants to talk about the sad face and being moody killing a marriage?
I don't know if it kills a marriage, but it doesn't make you real excited to do life with that person.
Okay.
Right?
Well, but all
Which I guess in turn then could eventually kill a marriage, but
right. All killing of a marriage doesn't have to be
Right.
a
Divorce.
shot out of a gun.
Right,
It can
yeah.
be
Death
something
by
that
1,000
kills over
cuts,
months
right?
and years.
most
right?
divorces happen long before papers are ever
True,
signed.
right,
so
right.
yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'm going to read this. Extreme feminism advocacy kills marriage.
I thought that was a weird one when I saw it in the list. I mean, I agree with it, but that's what an odd one to throw
Well,
in
if
there.
we're just talking about roles and why roles are so important,
Yeah.
then
Okay.
sure, if that's the context.
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking, extreme feminism in the sense where you reverse roles, and now the wife is trying to take the role that God has given the man.
Or
If
you
that-
redefine the role.
Yeah,
that's
maybe it just was worded
God-given.
different.
Well, and if
but-
you go back to that's
Yeah.
part of the curse, right? In
Yep.
Genesis 3 is it says that the woman's desire will be for the man, which means it will be to usurp the role that God has given the
Yep.
man, and the man will lord it over.
Yeah, there's a
right?
power trip
Right,
going
there's
on,
a
right?
role reversal that's a result of
Yeah.
sin entering the world.
Yeah, me and my wife, I'll just be honest, she doesn't care. We've experienced this for a lot of our marriage because, I'm the dude and I have this thing in me that's like I got to lead. And then she comes from a very independent mom and a very kind of feministic mom. And her dad, of course, walked out on her when she was 1.
Well, there you
So
go.
she was raised by mom and guys are a bunch of, they're no good. Marriage sucks and dudes suck. And so for years, me and Carrie, and we weren't strong Christians for years. So we just had no idea of, God's intended design and roles and why it mattered. We were just on a power trip, constantly butting heads. That was what a lot of our arguments were over, in fact, was just roles and where we belonged in decision making and leading and things like that. So yeah, it's a challenge. And I love to see the work that I mean, this sounds horrible. I'd love to see what God has done in the life of my wife and redeeming that in her, and her seeing and embracing as good that which God has made her. She just never knew what it looked like before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
And just because you're unaware of it doesn't mean that this very strong dynamic that
Yeah.
you're talking about isn't there.
For sure.
You know, you come into a marriage
Yeah.
and it's there.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
might not recognize it, know what it is, or anything else. Right. With your thing to be the male and hers having, the thing that you described about coming from a fatherless home and a mother that was kind of take charge and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it's there. Okay, let's flip this to the next one. Male chauvinism kills marriage.
For the same reason.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I think that there's been a big movement right now to weed out toxic masculinity out of society right now, and there's a reason for it. It's not it's not just coming out of the blue. There's an
Right.
ugly way to do manhood. That is kind of this type of thing that's very heavy-handed and very ungodly. But now I think we're almost seeing the extreme of men becoming so passive and
Totally.
so
Right.
afraid to be men that now we've got another problem on our hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Not everything is toxic that the world calls toxic.
yeah.
Right. They're,
Right.
They're, what the world calls toxic masculinity. Some of it is just biblical manhood. Not all of it. But some of it's just biblical manhood and the role that God has given men.
Yeah, but you've got the Archie Bunkers of the world.
Oh, totally.
that are like,
Totally.
they're not helping us out much.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Uncontrolled temper and anger kill marriage.
You know what we could do?
What?
We could take the last 5 of these
Uh-huh.
and do them tonight with the group.
Okay.
I don't know.
So are we done? Are we out of time?
Is that right or no?
If you're doing it, I don't care.
You're doing it, bro.
I'm not coming tonight.
He's doing it. I'm not coming tonight either. Are you coming tonight?
You're coming. And so are you. We don't have to have these fights on here. We can do this later.
What was the question?
Yeah.
Uncontrolled.
So if you're a man and you're listening,
there's a
come
motion
to
on
Third
the
Thursday.
table that we take the last 5 of these and do them tonight.
I mean, we do. We have guys that aren't married, right? So I
Sure.
don't know how appropriate it would be. I think it still matters. But
But it's good for them to know, even if they're maybe going to be married.
Yeah,
or
for
they
sure.
know people that
I
are
agree.
married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say we
we
take
can
the
help.
last 5 of these.
Okay.
Are the last
So
5
how
good
are we
ones?
doing time-wise,
I think
Chad?
so.
We're okay time-wise. We're getting in the home stretch here, but
Okay. Well, all right. So if we're going to do the last 5 tonight, then do we want to do them now too?
Oh, I don't care. I was more thinking like we stop and
You hungry?
do them tonight.
So
No, actually, I do need to go to the
so
bathroom
if we
really bad.
stop, so
could
if
go.
we stop now, do I get extra credit for next
Yeah.
week?
You don't get to bank, you don't get to bank the time, but
Yeah,
you get
you
extra
can't.
credit. We'll give you a gold star on your
there
shirt.
we go.
Okay. Well, we can wrap it up, and if there's any guys that are coming tonight's Men Third Thursday, we're going to talk about these last 5 things that are marriage killers tonight. We're
We're actually on time.
up, guys.
We did.
That and
That's-
it's
Okay.
pasta bar tonight for those that might be
Oh, yeah.
wondering what's on
Oh.
the menu.
Yeah, I just talked to Jim Hoff, and it's linguine with Alfredo and meatballs and brownies, and there's probably
And
something
marinara,
else.
I think he said as
Marinara.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Geez.
Salad, bread.
fresh bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, sourdough, fresh sourdough.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, who gets treated to stuff like this, right? I mean,
So
how blessed are we?
Irene is in the chat and she says emphatically, "No, keep going,"
Oh,
because she's not going to be at Men's Third Thursday.
okay.
Sorry, Irene.
Yeah. Well, we can connect with you offline and kind of go through these other ones, but
I'll,
Yeah.
I'll slip you the sheet Sunday.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. David will see to it that
Actually,
you
I won't be
use it.
here. They will.
I'll be in Crescent.
Okay. They will.
Yeah.
I'll be here.
I won't be here either. I'm going to be in Redmond.
Chad will slip you the sheet on
Chad
Sunday.
will.
Yeah, just
Okay.
leave it on the desk in the office.
All right. How about you pray us out?
Lord, I thank you for marriage. I thank you for correction. I thank you that we can repent and we can confess and that we don't need to be scared about the things that we see in ourselves and the deficits that we see in our marriages, but that you make everything new and that you empower us to walk in right things that don't kill our marriage. And so we pray for more of that. We pray for more people that are concerned with what you say about marriage and your prescriptions for it than for themselves. And we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.